Asiatic miscellaneous. Okay, so all this kind of association, they have actually tried to study Indian society in a proper scientific way. Okay, and these associations and organizations, they have actually created that mind uh, to see or to rethink about their own position or about their own social organizations or institution, etc. Okay, so we have Indians, actually they have got that kind of base where they can question over different kind of institutions, organizations, or for example custom, tradition, etc. They have raised question or they have protested against those kind of issues. Okay, so that was the one part. And you can we can see that there are many reaction to these kind of organizations and association. It was not easy to form those academic association and take up the local issues, because uh, there was a certain kind of belief system, like we were like the Britishers, they have pointed that the ideologically Indians were, they believe in those particular thing, like that is dharma, karma, rebirth, etc. Okay, so they were in belief of those kind of ideology. Okay, so to change that kind of ideology or to change those kind of thought process, so they have to face many kind of rejection, you can say, or many kind of protest. Okay, so the responses that to that particular association, it was not easy. So they had you can say they had gained, they had not gained that kind of acceptance in uh, uh, when they have started to study those Indian villages. Okay, so that was that kind of responses they have got. Okay, and going to the beginnings of uh, sociology in the early phase of the time, we can see there are many writings which have actually created that idea where a systematic study of society can be possible, or it can also that can also happen, or we can apply the scientific method to study the society. That was actually shaped by different writings of different scholars, may it be the British scholars, or you can say the Indian scholars who actually have wrote many papers based on the empirical study. So that has also established that fact Indian society, it can also be studied through the scientific manner, or by implementing the scientific way or approaches. Okay, so and among those study, you can say that the positive signs of ancient Hindus. Okay, so that was that was written that was written by many universities, or and many universities, or university and the scholars of many universities. Okay, like the Brajendranath Sil. So that kind of those kind of scholar, they have tried to cover Indian society or Indian village community in those papers. Okay, and we can see after the establishment of those institutions or associations or organization, we can see there is a growth in the academic institutions to study village community or to study the Indian society. There was a growth of interest, or they have tried to focus, explore that area, like the village community. that was again become, it has again attracting area where these academic scholars, or where these scholars they can study the village community. Okay, and some of them you can say, like A.R. Wadia or Binay Kumar Sarkar, Radha Kamar Mukherjee. Okay, so these scholars they have actually studied the village communities which are residing in and around of that uh, university, or in and around of Kolkata. Okay, and they have tried to study the both economic and political organizations of those uh, village communities. Okay, so these kind of initiative were the beginnings of sociology in the early phase of Indian history. Okay, and other scholars, you must have heard that Patrick Geddes, or those, they have started the activities in Bombay universities. Okay, and formally in that university, in 1919, the kind of sociology, or the kind of a different discipline that was established in the Bombay University. Okay, so from Calcutta, we have moved to Bombay province. Okay, so and their uh, their their interest was uh, to identify, or to study the uh, life of those village communities. Okay, and you can say that how these different community they are trying to trying to live, or what are the different social and cultural structure of those village community. Okay, so and at the beginning you have seen that those community, or those research scholar, they were trying to cover the different kind of narratives, or different kind of ethnography of those village community. Like we are trying to cover the uh, mm, what is that in village community. So we are trying to identify those, we are trying to know those village community. So those studies were mainly documentation of the different kind of the sociocultural practices, custom traditions, or social interaction process, these things. Okay, so that was mainly documentation of the different facets of the society. Okay, and like that we have DP Mukherjee, and we have also DN Majumdar, uh, an anthropologist, how he had tried to figure out the population of India with different kind of basis to classify that population, like the racial classification. Okay, so these kind of study is again, it is trying to establish, or it is again trying to contribute to the emergence of sociology in India. Okay, so there are many scholars like that who have actually worked on India, or the Indian village community. Okay, and you must have heard the Iravati Karve's work, kinship organization in India. Okay, so from knowing the fact what is there in village, or what is there in the Indian society, now we have moved towards how they are working, or what is the interaction process in those village communities. Okay, like we have also tried to know the Jasmani system, and how those Jasmani system they are working. Okay, so there are many studies actually which has been done, and they are the foundation for the beginnings of sociology in India. Okay, and we have many journals, you can say, those are being started at that period, like the man in India, or you can say the Eastern anthropologist. Okay, so that kind of journal, they have actually tried to inspire the scholars to uh, do certain kind of empirical studies in those areas, in those village areas, okay, or in the rural society. Okay, because we know that majorly the Indian society that is actually identified with the village community or that rural society. Okay, and after independence we can say that there is a change in the approach to study the uh, rural society or to study the Indian society. Okay, so how it can be analyzed, so we have changed our methodologies. Okay, like we will discuss how there is a shift from the book view to the field view. Okay, so that kind of analysis, that kind of methodology that has came in post India. Okay, and there you will find in post independent era we had a new issue, or we had a new areas where actually we want to uh, explore the new things. Like in that phase we are in a transition situation, and we are also trying to build the nation. Okay, so there is a phase where many things that are going to change. So one part is there, we have to document the older one, and we have to document the changing process, and what are the issues and challenges which are coming in between that process. Okay, those kind of issues are we are also trying to cover up. Like we have seen that the Srinivas studies on Sanskritization. Okay, so the one part we are trying to study what is that village and how change is that is the change that is happening in those villages. Okay, so the transition phase, it has given many scope, or the scope of sociology in that era that has broadened. And again the another scope that was added, that is the uh, building of that particular nation. Okay, how we visualize our projected society, and how actually we are working. And from that point we actually had a concept of the development. Okay, how we have perceived the development. So that kind of study, or that kind of objectives has been set when we have actually tried to study the society. Okay, and most importantly we are trying to decolonize the society, and we are trying to decolonize the uh, academics also, or we are trying to negate the uh, that is Eurocentric idea where which have been used in studying the different parts of the India. Okay, so that kind of approach needs to be changed. Okay, so that idea it has also came in the post-independence era. So the type of study, or the kind of issues they are taking, that has again got a shift from the pre-independence era to the post-independence era. Okay, so coming to the second unit, what is there in second unit, that is the emergence of the discipline, the issues and themes. Okay, here actually we will try to cover uh, what are the different themes of the emergence of sociology in India, like historical root of sociology in India, and uh, growth and development of sociology as a profession. Like we are discussing how in different universities that discipline it was started. Okay, and in a post independence era, what is the status of sociology, and expansion of the teaching and research during in 50s and 60s, some of the major research trend during the 70s, and theories and method used by sociologists in India. Okay, so what were the themes and issues in the when sociology that was emerging in India? In this unit we will try to cover all this thing. Okay, and going to the sociological historical background of sociology in India. uh, Here actually we will see, um, mm, like in our last part of our first unit, we had discussed that there are different scholars from beginning with the classical writings, Indian classical writings, like the scripts and the reports or the writings of the travelers, and reports and writings of the British administrator or anthropologist. Okay, so from that point we actually had started that particular discipline, or we actually had given the foundation of that particular discipline, that is called sociology. Okay, so again we will also we will also stick to that point that the previous phase of sociology, when it was formally initiated, the previous phase was the advent of anthropology. Okay, so the social studies or the society that were studied by the anthropologists, so their methodologies were put. Okay, so and it was it can be rightly pointed out that anthropology and sociology, uh, they have emerged during the colonial period. Okay, because that the colony establisher or the ruler, they actually wanted to know the Indian society and culture, so they have started studying the Indian society or the village communities. Okay, so it was by the British anthropologist, and uh, later on it was converted to the sociology. Okay, so anthropology started investigating Indian society, then it was taken up by the sociologist. It not that the investigation of anthropology that have ended when sociology it has took the point, but they had sociology it gain or it collect the different facts from the anthropologist or from the study of those anthropologists. Okay, so the the sociological base or the historical roots of sociology in India, that what we have already discussed, how different thought process they have come, and how the administrator they have tried to study the Indian society, and how uh, you can say the different organizations or association they have actually tried to study the Indian society. Like the missionaries they have also tried to study the society, like we had that French missionary in Mysore, and we had that that is different ethnographic associations were also there. Okay, who have tried to cover uh, the Indian societies. Okay, uh, and we had also the gazetteers or the reports uh, that has done or that has been published by the British scholars or the British society. Okay, so we have also the establishment of Asiatic Society in Bengal, which were established in 1787. Okay, so their initiative was can also be included. as they have uh, provided, you can say, they have established a base uh, for Indology. Okay, or you can say the growth of or the emergence of sociology, it was actually started from that point. They have actually created that awareness. Through our knowledge system we can also analyze our society. Okay, so and we had also discussed that how British education system, they have created a group of Indians who were questioning the Indian interaction, Indian custom traditions, or Indian organizations of society. Okay, we have different reformers, Raja Rammohn Rai, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, or Swami Vivekananda. Okay, so there are many reformer who have actually tried to reform the Indian thought process or Indian society and uh, Indian society basically. Okay, and going to the growth and development of sociology as a discipline or as a profession, we can start from the we can start from that phase when anthropology was established, or anthropology, it has started, it has given the foundation for development of sociology. Okay, so between when Britishers they established colony, from that point anthropologists they have actually uh, studied the Indian society professionally. It means they have actually applied anthropological methodologies or methods to study the different society of India. Okay, and like after that we will see there are many publications which has came, which is actually trying to indicating the emergence of sociology in India. Okay, like the W.S. Rivers published his book on Todas, that was in 1906. Okay, and the man in India, we were pointing that which was actually started in 1921. Okay, and social organization in 1924. Okay, and these kind of these publication actually created that base for the emergence of sociology as a profession in India. Okay, we had also different scholar who would try to implement or who try to apply the sociological method or anthropological method to study the Indian society. Okay, like we can say G.S. Gure, K.P. Chattopadhyay, or we can say Radcliffe Brown. Okay, so some of them have actually tried to investigate the Indian society. Okay, so some European uh, anthropologists or European sociologists, they have actually tried to study the Indian society. Okay, and sociology in post-independence, we can see uh, here you will find the discipline. Uh, Here you can say that it has to establish its identity, or you can say uh, the place with the other disciplines or with the other sciences. Okay, like Indian society that is being described uh, by other discipline also, or you can say the intellectual repository in Indian society, that is again has a research repository, or the other kind of science they had their base or historical roots, like we can say the mathematics, we can say the that is the different sastras. Okay, so they had their base in Indian society. So in that scenario, sociology, it has to establish its base, or it has to find its place where it can also stand as a new discipline to study the society. Okay, so that was the major challenge. Okay, and in the next phase, uh, the sociology, it was actually got popularity by the different scholars, or through establishment of different departments or academic unions in different universities. Okay, or we can say we have actually tried to establish different research unit in post independence era to do the social research work in different regions. Okay, like mm, we had uh, there is a growth of sociology as a discipline in different university, from the Calcutta to the Bombay University. Okay, or the in Madras province. Okay, we have tried to establish that discipline, or to establish that discipline with different departments. Okay, create sociology as a new department in those academic institutions or in those universities. Okay, we have tried to done that. So through teaching we have tried to expand the sociology, or we have tried to expand this discipline. Okay, and again, it can also be said that uh, mm, in those different universities, or in those department of different universities, they've actually tried to create that perspectives, how sociology can have a different perspective to look upon a particular society. Okay, so through the teaching process, or through the teaching learning process, they have to actually try to create that base of sociology. Okay, so they're trying to expand that idea and expand that discipline. And we can also say that different organizations or institute, like ICSSR. Okay, so establishment of that kind of institutions. Okay, so they have taken off various kind of social science issues. Definitely it is covering the all issues of social science, means literature, or economics, psychological studies, anthropological studies, all those things they are trying to cover. But that has also given another scope to the different scholars who can actually study the uh, uh, Indian society. Okay, or another thing you can say, the uh, UGC. Okay, so when we have started establishing or reconstruct the Indian society, we have tried to establish many research institutions. Okay, through which we can actually fund, or we can actually provide that opportunity to study the Indian society. Okay, and we have also different commissions. Okay, like we had a commission on mm, plannings. We have commission on different minority communities. We have commission on women. Okay, so when we are planning to do different kind of developmental work for a particular community or a particular issue, we have tried to establish a committee or a commission. So those committee report or commission report, they're also giving a uh, opportunity for the scholars to study different society. Okay, so that kind of committee report or commission report, uh, which were published in the British era or in the British ruling time, that was also useful. And when after independence we were trying to publish these kind of commission report or committee report, again that is also useful for the uh, different sociologist or for the discipline. It is again contributing for the knowledge system of that particular discipline. Okay, so through establishment of different kind of commission or committee, we have tried to focus different kind of issues. And mainly in after in the after independence India, we have mainly majorly focused the development and development induced change. What are those changes, and how the society that is taking different safe, or you can say the different how it is preparing itself to address those kind of change. Okay, so that is one point. Okay, and we have in the 70s you can see we had advented or different international borders, they have actually advented in India, they have reached India. Okay, so they also promoted different kind of studies in India, or different kind of social studies in India, like the Ford Foundation, ILO, UNICEF, World Bank. Okay, they have funded or they have promoted different kind of studies or different kind of surveys in India. Okay, so based on their particular objectives, they have tried to fund different scholar to study Indian society. Okay, so that is another part. Through teaching, we saw the expansion of the discipline, or by doing research through these organizations or institutions, that discipline was also getting expanded. Okay, so that was another medium through which discipline was getting expanded. Okay, and like there are certain trends were there, or there are certain themes were there in post independence era, on which uh, various studies they were actually being published, or they are actually being done. Okay, like we can say that the movements right after the independence, we, or prior to the independence, that moment we had seen a massive movement, okay, to change the ruling system. And after independence we have tried to we have seen many kind of movements who are actually trying to possess their view how to construct that particular society. Okay, so women's movement, student movements, minority movements. Okay, or there are, and various political movement we have seen. Okay, so that kind of issue, it is providing a base to study that kind of, to study Indian society. Okay, so you must have heard the M.S. Rao's research on social movements. Okay, so all the movements that has been covered, because right after that independence, uh, uh, various bases has been provided for that kind of movement. Okay, like the environmental issues. Okay, after that particular plan period, we saw there is a sudden increase in those kind of movement. Okay, when constitution that is observed or that is being accepted in India. Okay, again we have saw various kind of movements. Okay, so after independence, that has given various issues or various trends for the expansion of that particular discipline. Okay, and to cover all those changing issues, we have seen scholars like MS Rao. We have seen the scholars like uh, uh, that is there are various other scholars or sociologists who have try to cover these kind of changing issues. Okay, or these kind of new issues which were arising or which were emerging because of that new changes. Okay, so in 70s, you will see there are majorly uh, three areas where sociological studies were actually getting popular, or that were actually getting more published. Okay, so one of the area, uh, that is the industrial sociology, because to fulfill that particular objective, we will be developed, we will build our nation in a different way, or we will try to establish that particular society with certain other kind of social or social objectives or economic objectives. Okay, so industrialization was the much needed kind of procedure, or it was much needed at that time. Okay, so that has again emerged as a new area where sociology can invade, or it can also see how that is working. Okay, so industrial sociology, that was again a new area where sociology, they can have their own perspectives, or they can study that area. Okay, and again we have seen that because of that industrialization process, uh, there is a radical growth of that urban society, or so there is a new area we have to focus, that is the urban sociology. Okay, so in the pre-independence era, or right after the independence, we had focused the rural society. We had actually given importance to the rural society, because that was the only concentrated area or concentrated region from where you can get to know all about the Indian society, the village communities. Okay, so after independence, that village community, through different kind of process, they have got changed. Okay, they had converted into the urban pockets or urban cities. Though it has not done in a spur of time, but uh, uh, it has taken a particular period. Okay, so that journey, and how that urban life should be investigated, again that is provided by the urban sociology. Okay, and in 70s we had new era, that is the social stratification. Okay, so like in the during the time of that independence, pre or after independence, you can say, uh, the society that was again the frame of society, or the structure of society, that was again referred with a single stratification system, or we can say that is again identified with caste certification system. But after independence, we may find many bases of stratifying the Indian society. Okay, so that that got that has again uh, risen, or that has again emerged as a new area where sociology can invent, or it can implement its method of inquiry. Okay, so in 70s you will also find these kind of issues, or these kind of areas where various scholars, they've actually done their work, done their empirical work in this area, in industrial sociology, in urban sociology, or in that is the social stratification systems. Okay, so uh, among them, one of the famous study you must have heard, that is by the Louis Dumont, that is Homo hierarchicus. Okay, published in 1970s. Okay, so how different change, or how that particular certification system that is working, we were trying to cover all those things. Okay, so these these are the classics of this particular area, like stratification systems. Okay, and uh, uh, you have also heard the air design studies in rural areas. Okay, and they can all you have also heard MSO studies. Okay, or AR Desai, Pisidosian genes, their studies in those 17th era. Okay, or Andre Bette, Yugendra Singh. Okay, so their study were mainly focusing the change in both the society, rural and urban society. In total, you can say the change in urban society. Okay, so there are many scholars actually who have took those areas where uh, they can study, or they can publish something, they can do their research work. Okay, so these are the some of the work which has been done by the research scholar, and that has actually contributed for the emergence of sociology. Okay, and when we are discussing the theories and method which has been used by the sociologist in India, uh, you can see there is a ready to use methods. Okay, like we were saying, the Eurocentric methods. Okay, so we had taken many things from the Europeans or from the British scholars. Okay, like when we had studied the economic organizations in the Bengal areas. Okay, so there we have tried to focus the Marxian ideology. Okay, or Marxian method of studying that economic institutions. Okay, so that kind of ready to use methodologies or ready to use perspectives were there. But again, we had also our own methods to study the Indian society. Okay, so like we were discussing those ideological perspectives. Okay, so they were the we had those kind of methods where you can study your own society with your own perspectives. Okay, so anthropologists and sociologists actually they have used some of the methods or some of the theory which has been uh, established by the British anthropologist or the European society, and they have also tried to create their own methods to study the Indian society. Okay, uh, and herein uh, in the third part of this block, that is the village studies. Okay, or study of village community. There actually we can see um, how village studies or the study on village community that has actually given a base for the origin of sociology in India. Okay, in third unit of this block, uh, that is village studies in India. Here you will find what is the historical background. Okay, and the context on which village communities were studied. Okay, and how there is a shift from a book view to the field view, or the or the from the field to field work. Okay, and how the significance of village that has actually shaped by the different factors. Okay, and how by studying the village community we actually established the general features of village community. Okay, and we have tried to see the structure of village. And there is a shift called the from field view and the field work. Okay, so going to the historical background of village study, here that is more similar with the first unit what we had discussed in the discussed in our yesterday class. Uh, Here we will again discuss how the different approaches were there, and how Britishers they actually were they have they had a particular idea regarding the village community. Okay, like we were discussing uh, by Henry Mann or by Makim Marriott or by the writings of Robert Redfield, the Indian villages they were described as the uh, republic, or they are described, those village community are the self-sufficient. Okay, uh, so that kind of idea, Charles Metcalfe's idea, like villages are self-sufficient or they are the uh, republic. Okay, so that perception it continues for a longer period of time. Okay, and to question that perception, we had also studied, or we had also argued against that perception. Like in yesterday class we are discussing Baden Powell's study on the village communities. Okay, so how they are Baden Powell actually they he is describing, no, villages are not self sufficient, they have to depend, or they are dependent on the uh, other communities or the larger society. They depend on the larger society also. Like like he is giving that argument, village community if those were self sufficient, we may not find the that Royatwari villages or the Jamindari villages. In Jamindari villages you will saw maximum population they are the Jamindars, or in that Jajmani systems they can be the Jajmans. Okay, so in a village community, as it is described by the Metcalfes, like they are self-sufficient. So in that community, in that particular Jamindari village, you must find the other Kamins also, or the other service providing caste group. But in those Jamindari villages, there are few households, and they have their own villages. Okay, they are not the servant or the service providers. Okay, so that kind of habitation structure may not be found if they are self-sufficient. Again, that Rayatwari village and the Jamindari village, they depend upon each other. Jamindars depend on the tax collectors or the middlemen, and these Rayatwars, they are only medium of collecting the tax and depositing with their superior authorities. Okay, so they are against that. Baden Powell is against that ideology, or against that idea that villages are self-sufficient. They must, they are dependent on the other society, and for the taxation process, you have heard that they have to depend on the larger community or the state. For there is a economic interdependency or dependency on the state, there are also a social dependency with the other community. Like we have seen that there is a boundary of a particular village community, and in that village community they have their own demarcation where which kind of community will reside. Okay, and some of the community they cannot cohabit with the other caste member. they have to live outskirt of the village community, but they are the integral part of that village community. Okay, like we have seen that those who are working as a lower caste community, they cannot cohabit with that particular village community. Okay, but they are the service providers. Okay, so these kind of mm, structure, or these kind of interdependency, that is breaking that notion of self sufficiency. Okay, and another example is that you have seen that the caste associations. Okay, so there are many castes are there in India, and a village community may it have a particular kind of caste, but for the different kind of caste issue, they have to depend on the other caste community members also, or the largest caste community also. For example, for the rights of a particular caste, it cannot be decided by the single village caste members of a particular caste. They have to depend on the views of the caste group, same caste group members of the other villages. Okay, so there is a social interdependency is there by the village community members. Okay, and the villages, they were the more attracting point to study, because as we have said that to know the Indian society, you have to know the village community. From that is the one single point from where you can actually get to know the various informations, or various that is area, various lifestyles or interaction process regarding the regarding the Indian society. Okay, so they were the they were the readily available points where, from where you can get to know the Indian society. Okay, so they were those village community were more fascinating. So they various scholars, they have actually tried to study those village communities. Okay, and in post independence era, as we have seen that uh, there is a there is a professional trend, it has grown, like we were discussing, there is a process of nation building. Okay, so sociologist and anthropologist, they have that village community were most popular to study. Okay, and there are many studies, or larger numbers of studies, that were focusing on the socio-cultural life of the village community. And most of the studies that were actually published in the between the period from 1950s to 60s. Okay, and that village studies, those village studies actually plays an important role uh, in the emergence of sociology and social anthropology in India. Okay, uh, mm, rightly you can have the idea like in 1955 itself, there are many publications regarding the village community. A.C. Dubbe, M.N. Srinivas, okay, or D.N. Majumdars. Okay, so they have published their writings on village community, ethnographic writings on village community, and they're published in the same year. Okay, and the organizations, or you can say the journal, like Political Weekly or EPW, Economic and Political Weekly. Okay, they have also published various village studies in that particular year. Okay, or between that particular year from 1950s to the 1960s. Okay, and the context of the village study, it means how there are different bases are there, because of which village were the most fascinating yeah, areas to study. Okay, so as we have seen that sociology, that is a young discipline. Okay, and by the British anthropologists or the ethnographers or administrator. Okay, so they had tried to implement that young disciplines uh, methodology in India. Okay, and the ready to implement that kind of methodology was the village society. Okay, so they have actually tried to implement that method in various new emerging issues. For example, peasant system, peasantry in India. Okay, or you must have heard that particular mode of production, Asian mode of production. Okay, how the British or how that European scholars they have tried to study, or they have tried to give that particular example. Okay, and the another context on which the social studies or the village studies they were being done was the uh, establishment of the new state. Okay, and here we can say that from dependence to we are moving towards the independence. Okay, from a colony to we are moving towards the new state. Okay, so there is the concept called like backwardness, developing, underdevelopment, third world. Okay, or modernization. These kind of concepts that are getting that are getting that are getting very popular in that particular phase of time when India was getting independence. Okay, so these concepts they're getting into the minds of the scholars of sociology or social anthropologists. Okay, and another context was that there are various structures were there, social structures were there. Among that, as we have pointed that the agrarian structure or the peasantry. Okay, uh, so in India you will find new features or the some of the peculiar features of that peasantry systems or that agrarian system like you must have that idea how caste and Indian agrarian structure they are closely related. Okay, so one way we have seen that caste structure that is different and agrarian structure that is again it may not be same with the caste structure, but caste structure is supporting the agrarian structure. Okay, like the accessibility to the land that is decided by the caste ideology. Okay, so that is that caste philosophy and the caste structure, caste hierarchy that is backing the agrarian structure of a particular society. Okay, so these kind of peculiar features or these kind of new structures that was fascinating for the scholars of of a, of that particular phase. Okay, so village was again it was most fascinating area where it can be where it can be studied. Okay, and okay, so I will take a 10-minute break here, and again I will start. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so let's restart. So we were discussing the context of village studies. We are discussing the context of village studies. Okay, so when village that was actually it has got popularity by the different scholars. So there are various contexts that has been given. Okay, and among them we discussed that because India was in a growing stage or in a changing stage, uh, new objectives uh, that has been set. Okay, so because of that kind of objective, or to when the society is moving forward to achieve that kind of objective, so there are many changes which are coming. So to address those context, or on that on that context, different scholars they have actually tried to study the village communities. Okay, and the new kind of structure we had found, like the peasantry structure or the agrarian structure, so that is also studied by the Indian society. Okay, and as we have seen that the village community, that was uh, that was the social foundation of the peasant economy in India. Okay, and we had uh, the studies of different scholars. They have established the fact that there is a close relationship between the peasant community and the uh, village community, and the studies done on the peasant community and the studies on the village community, so they are more similar, or they have a close relationship. One is supporting other, or one is giving the facts to another community or another kind of study. Okay, so these kind of study, they have actually given that context for the study of village community. Okay, and here we will also give the example of Redfield's notion on village community. He has perceived village community as the little community, or like the Marriott they have studied or they have given, they are the they are the republic. Okay, so this little community and the that idea, that has also that has got popular with the publication like Village India Studies in Little Community, in the little communities. Okay, so that is published in the 1955. Okay, so in 1955 itself we can found many publication which has actually supported the growth of village community, or we can say the which has actually supported the uh, mm, contribution to the growth, contribution to the village studies. Okay, and we had example like when the Economic and Political Weekly, the previous name was that is Economic Weekly. Okay, so in 1954 it has published number of short essay on the village community. Okay, that has been provided by the many anthropologists. Those are the, you can say, the ethnographic studies of different village communities or different villages. Okay, individual villages. And that short essay, that is again published by Srinivas. Okay, titling The Indian Village, which is again published in 1955. Okay, and Mackin Marriott's book Village India, that have also appeared in the same year, and Isi Dubbe, his study on the Indian village in 1955. And you will also find Majumdar studies, that is also named Rural Profiles, that is also in 1955. Okay, so in 1955 we will find that is explosion of study on the village communities. Okay, and these study, after the publication of that study, there is a obvious factor is that that popular area will be getting more popular. Okay, or that will be more attractive for the different other scholars. Okay, and here you will find a shift from a particular method to another method. Okay, like the previous study or the previous discussion we have discussed, uh, Indian thought process, that is popularly known as the uh, it is backed by the classical literatures or the classical scripts. Okay, so here, after the publication of so many research work on the village community, you will find a shift from that thought process. Okay, we have actually shifted from the book view to the field view, which was promoted by the Srinivas. Okay, so here you will actually see that little community, or that is that Marriott was calling the republic. Okay, so to know the each aspect of those village community, you have to be more closely connected with that village communities. Okay, like the method which were adopted by the anthropologists, like ethnography, doing ethnography. Okay, and in ethnography, there you have to carry out the intensive field work, residing in those field area or residing in those study area. Okay, where community is closely observed by uh, becoming a member of that community also. Okay, so you must have heard the particular method that is called the participant observation. Okay, through that process, we are actually we had actually tried to study the village community, and that process or that method was actually the uh, actually very popular with the anthropologist. But in sociology also we have tried to adopt that method to study the village community, where by becoming the member of that particular community, we actually study the that communities. Okay, for example, like the Srinivas idea on Sanskritization or dominant caste. Okay, or those kind of study, okay, that are more empirical studies, and that has to be done through those kind of participation or those kind of close participation. Okay, and after that methodological shift, you will try to you will get to know that there is a uh, shift or there is a change in the mindset of the scholars. Okay, like how they are perceiving the village, there is a change in the uh, significance of the village. Okay, for example, we have seen that uh, the intellectual and political structure during the uh, independence, or the whenever any kind of that change has happened, after that what is the uh, political and intellectual structure of India, or you can say for example, after independence there are certain important place or important changing phases are there. After that you will find clearly there is a shift of that political or intellectual structure. Okay, like we said that after independence you will find that change in that structure, political structure or that intellectual structure. Okay, or or the time of implementation of certain kind of programs. Okay, for example, when we have introduced state to those village communities. Okay, state means when constitution that is being observed, when different kind of policies and programs for the specific village community that has been implemented. Okay, so there is a forceful entrance of these community to the village area or to the village community. Okay, so the traditional structure which were present in the village community, now you can find the presence of uh, a particular state mechanism. Okay, so those were present. Okay, and because of that structural changes, you will find uh, in a village community, they are getting more importance, or those village community they are getting more important. Okay, for example, we had after implementation of CDP. Okay, so there is a power structure change. Okay, so that context or that the perception of village that has changed. Okay, and we have also uh, we have also got to know that yes, the village community or that power structure has some kind of importance. Okay, it can be a medium for bringing change. Okay, so that power structure since is another point, or another point we have seen that after 73rd constitutional amendment in 1992. Okay, so in that phase, so there is a mandatory presence of PRIs, Panchayat Raj institution, in the village communities. Okay, so it is bringing that power structure change. Okay, like the change in traditional caste structure or traditional power structure that has got affected when these PRIs are present in the local areas. Okay, so because of that power structure change, you will find there is a new perceived significance of the village community. So villages are there more significant. Okay, and another example is that we have seen that uh, whenever a state is applying or trying to implement new policies and program for the development of a particular society, that is again the implementation center or the pilot kind of area is that is again picked off any kind of village. Okay, so those village communities are more important. Okay, so they have to gain uh, a new kind of importance in the post independence era. Okay, and like other kind of context or other kind of significance, you must have heard that uh, there is a the method used by the economist. Okay, for example, when the Britishers they did census, that is just the enumeration of the individuals and identifying the different communities. What are the different castes are there, what are the different racial communities are there. Okay, and when British administrators they have done or they have provided reports on the economic systems of in pre-independence era. Okay, so those study they were more quantitative. Okay, and when uh, anthropologists when they have started that ethnographical studies, okay, that has provided a qualitative data, and qualitative data are you can say that are more convincing. Okay, or that methods are those method qualitative methods are more convincing, like we have given the example like uh, field view or the field work, participation participant observation. Okay, so their data is more authentic and more reliable. Okay, so for those kind of methodological analysis, quantitative analysis, we actually rely on the village community. Okay, so any kind of qualitative method can be implemented in these village communities. Okay, so for that purpose, there is a the significance of village. It has increased. Okay, and we'll also find that in those village community, any kind of social process, it can be studied in a detailed manner. Okay, where for example, we are saying there is a social mobility. Okay, or there is a different kind of social processes are going on. For example, you can say associative social process or dissociative process, or any kind of social process you are saying. Okay, so to study that kind of social process, or to study that kind of interaction system in the village community, for example, that is interactive system like uh, interpersonal relationship, neighborhood relationship, okay, or state and individual relationship, institutions and individual relationship, any kind of interactive system that can be closely observed when we are studying those village communities. Okay, so they got that importance, the village community got that kind of importance. Okay, so like the Srinivas, he has rightly pointed out that uh, in urgency we have at the most in another 10 years in which we can record the facts about a types of society which is changing fundamentally and with a great rapidity. Okay, so during that 50s and 60s, okay, particular Indian society that is going to change, and there will be a, you can say, a total shifting of or reconstruction of that particular structure, or you will say that change process is very rapid. Okay, so you have to, or we must cover all those changing process. Okay, and the next part is that there are general feature of village uh, which has came because of the study of, but because of the studies which has been done by the different research scholars. Okay, so there are general features of the village. Okay, and as we have said that the stereotypical features we had actually got, that is by the Mackie Marriott's or the uh, Robert Relpit, they are self-sufficient. Okay, so village communities feature is that mm, in a first hand it is look like that they are self-sufficient, or they are they are a society within themselves. Okay, the needs or the demands, it is being fulfilled by the community which are present in that particular village community. Okay, so they are self-sufficient. Okay, and again we have also that many scholars they have negated that view, that is they are the part of the larger society or the wider entity. Okay, like the burden pearl we are discussing, they have to depend on the other communities. Okay, and here another factor, that is another kind of nature which were identified by the scholars, like when they have studied the Hindu Jasmani system. W.S. Weiser, he has studied the Hindu Jasmani system, where he could found out that within that village community there is a framework of reciprocity. In Jasmani system, we have seen that there is a security of job system, or they are more static, and there are more reciprocal. Okay, so you can say exchange of services are there. Okay, so that kind of thing that is actually working in a village community, that is mutual gratification or reciprocal exchange, that is working in this village community. Okay, that is another point or another kind of feature of a particular village community we will find out. Okay, so that is the thing. And when we are trying to find out the characteristics or the features of village community, their caste, class, and gender, it cannot be ignored. Okay, so in a particular village community, you must have seen that caste provide a particular structure, or uh, both those three, caste, class, and gender, they provide a frame for for a structuration of that particular society, like the caste framework of structuration. On the basis of four burners, that caste society, that particular village community will be uh, that will be structured. Okay, and we have seen that then that structuration, that is more hierarchical. Okay, like the four burners, they're hierarchical, and according to those four burners, you will find the other jatis and sub-jatis. Okay, or the subgroups of that particular jatis. Okay, so those jati or those caste, they will be again hierarchically arranged. Okay, so in a village community, caste provides that framework or that frame for positioning different kind of social community or social units. Okay, and the another feature of that caste system is that is hierarchical, and that is a closed system where the social mobility is very restricted. Okay, you cannot find that kind of flexible mobility or flexible kind of social relationship among different strata in a social, in a caste stratification system. Okay, each strata are very rigidly they are related. Okay, the mobility is very difficult, but we have found out that there is a reciprocal exchange is there, but there cannot be the shifting of the roles and responsibility of particular caste. Okay, so they are more closed system. And as we have said that there is a presence of class system also in the village society. Okay, so in a village community, class is another frame where this particular society structure can be made, and that base of that particular class system in the village community is the land, position of land. Okay, so we have seen that the amount of possessing the land, it is actually deciding the amount of power, prestige, and privileges they are getting. Okay, so land position, that is deciding the class position or the class structuration. Okay, like you have seen that the zamindars, okay, particular class, peasants or the tenants, okay, they have another class, laborers, landless laborers. Okay, so land is the deciding factor for the class formation or class structuration. Okay, and again that land position, that is decided by the caste belief system. Okay, so most of the that is you can say most of the position, land position, that is concentrated with the higher caste. Okay, because the caste social position, it gives you those life chances or those power to have the land position. It actually directs how much a particular caste can possess and which type of land a particular caste can possess. So that is decided by the caste belief system. And in a village community, Gender provides you another base for the structuration or stratification of that particular society, because there is a sharp differentiation among the genders. Okay, we have seen that patriarchy. Okay, we have also seen uh, like the preference of male child. Okay, we have also seen um, prevalence of the that is male dominance. Okay, so every social interaction process, social structures of institution that are framed in accordance or in convenience with the male gender. Okay, and the other gender, that is the female, you will see in that hierarchical structuration, they are in a lower strata. Okay, because of that patriarchal or patriarchy or male dominance, uh, you will find every institutions and every social interaction that is actually benefiting the one gender. So village in India that are more biased towards the men, and you will find patriarchy and male dominancy that are more popular in the village community. Okay, and going to the field view and field work, as we had also discussed that uh, the perception of village community or the perception of Indian society. Okay, from where we have got to know, the ready to accessing point was the traditional classical literatures. Okay, from that we had actually got the uh, idea how Indian society is functioning and what are the different structures of Indian society. Okay, how it is framed and how it is functioning. From that classical scripts, we have actually got that idea. Okay, so there is a and again there is a point is that traditional classical scriptures or scripts, they are not accessible to all. Okay, few are the there who can actually access those traditional or classic literatures. Okay, so the idea we have got that are partial, how they have perceived, and that perception that is being transmitted to the other person. Okay, so that is more partial, and that is a bookish view. Okay, so that that's need to be changed, and that was possible because of that field view or because of that field based work. Okay, so to change that idea of village community, we actually uh, mm, took that ethnographic study, took that participant observation study. Okay, so sociologists and anthropologists, they were more engaged in those village community to have that particular idea. Okay, so there is a popularity of that is called the empirical study in that particular period. Okay, and because of that field view or because of that empirical study, uh, different perception of village community that has got changed. Okay, like we had a different perception of the particular caste system. When we are going to the field, we have another kind of perception. Okay, the degree of that is the social mobility. When we are going to the field, we can actually view what are the actual uh, percentage of mobility or what are the actual frequency of mobility in those rural areas. Okay, so the field view, it actually gives you that changed kind of perception about the village community, so that has got more popularity. Okay, Okay, so for today we will stop here, and in our next class we will start with the block 2. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.